And let me now talk to Dore Gold, who is the president of the Jerusalem Center for Public Affairs, former advisor to Prime Minister Netanyahu. Do you share the pessimism, even if you don't share the sentiments necessarily, but the pessimism expressed by that gentleman there, Mr. Gold?
First of all, Hussein Agga is one of the sharpest observers of Middle East politics that I know, and I'm very glad you had him on your set. I don't share pessimism, I share realism. We have to understand how the political systems are operating. You know, when you are a negotiator, one of the first questions you have to answer for the political echelon is, do we have bridgeable gaps between the parties in all these fields? And if not, why advise your boss to run to Camp David and sit there for 10 days and come up with nothing? So a realistic approach is what you have to seek if you want to make...
And what is that realistic approach then?
You have to understand what are the needs of both sides. I don't want to start negotiating, you know, over the BBC, but I do know...
Feel free.
What I do know is that there are things the Palestinians need that they can't concede. There are things that Israel needs that it can't concede. And part of putting together a package for peace is understanding those elements. And I understand the difficulties we face. The politics of the situation also raises rhetoric that becomes unacceptable and alienating for both sides. I could easily play the game of quoting Mahmoud Abbas on the BBC, but I don't think that would get us much further. You can get that on the internet. But I think that we have to, first of all, stabilize the area. The external challenges are also undermining matters. The fact that Iran, after the JCPOA, became even more aggressive regionally than it had been before, and we have Iranian forces in all over Syria on the ground. We have the Iranians reaching out as far as the Maghreb recently in terms of their efforts to undermine Morocco. This is a reality which makes also the negotiating environment more difficult.
But the trouble is, people will look at Israel's role in the wider picture, and they will say that moving the embassy today is an unnecessary provocation. Shooting so many, using so much live ammunition on the border, shooting so many protesters dead is more than a provocation. That's a positively criminal act. And they say, you know, Israel has to behave in a more reasonable manner.
Well, you know, I will admit that our PR diplomacy could use a shot in the arm. I used to be the head of the foreign ministry as director general, but I will say this: what's going on in Gaza and the misunderstanding about Gaza is extremely problematic. You basically have an illegitimate organization, Hamas, regarded as a terror organization by the Arab states. And they are pursuing an illegitimate goal, which is to break down the border fence between Gaza and sovereign Israel. And they're doing it by illegitimate means, using children as human shields.
Wow.
I would expect the foreign policy establishments, certainly in the West and certainly in the UK, to reflect that reality.
All right.
But unfortunately, that isn't happening.
I'm afraid we have to end it there. We've run out of time. Thank you so much for talking to us, Dore Gold.